Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Capita Black Snowboard of Death. This board features Capita's Alpine V1 camber profile, which is rocker in the nose, camber through the midsection, then some flat, and then a tiny rocker in the tail. The camber section is going to give you all the load, pop, snap, and drive, while that rocker section, the tip and the tail, is going to give you ease of entry in and out of turns, as well as more optimal powder float. This board is available in 156, 159, 162, 157 wide, 161 wide, 165 wide, 169 wide. I rode this board at Arapahoe Basin on a sunny bluebird day with warmer temperatures. You had creamy snow, choppy snow, perfect hero groomers, and even some hot pow for good measure, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. I've ridden enough versions of this board to understand the nuances whenever they do a tweak to it, and with this year's version, they made it a little torsionally softer compared to last year's version. This makes it more approachable for the everyman, and it helps with the torsional twist in this board. It still is a fully directional flex, meaning slightly softer nose that progressively stiffens back up to the tail, and it's still that hard charging all mountain free ride board. It's just not as torsionally stiff, which just overall changes that flex between the feet and allows you to manipulate turns a little bit easier. Now, when it comes to stability, that new core and that new top sheet really work in dampening vibration so that you don't feel that micro chatter underfoot. And when you get into really rutted out terrain, this board still plows through chop and chunder. Now, while it is more damp, it still retains its liveliness, which means it doesn't feel like a lifeless turd. So with that camber section through the middle, you have to load it up to get the pop out of this board, and what you put in, you're gonna get double back. That's how reactive this board is. So load it up aggressively, roll back into that flat section on the tail. That engages the rocker section, then it springs. You're gonna launch a side hit roller cat track gap over a whole family having a family reunion that are all fat skiers. You don't have to worry about it with this board. It wants to boost. Won't lie, this board's gonna make you work for any butter you put into it. That camber section through the middle is gonna fight you the whole way. Sure, you got rocker in the nose and the tail, but even that only minimally helps you. Just the stiffness and the reactivity of this board to want to go back to its original shape will fight you. So manhandle it, don't skip leg day, use a little bit more speed than you think, and you should be fine. When it comes to carving, this is where this board truthfully shines. It's got a smooth and fluid edge-to-edge power transmission outside the front foot, but it drives aggressively and really steers from inside that rear foot. Yes, you can ankle steer it when you're being casual, but when you're really driving it, you're steering it from inside that rear foot. You want to lay it over? Lay it over. It's going to lock in and let you just rip a carve with it. With that softer torsional flex, it does make the ankle steering a little easier, which makes it a little less hooky compared to last year's version. I'm not saying that it's not going to hook at some point, but it just makes it less hooky. The only time I really noticed it being hooky was when I was one-footing, just skating around from lift to lift and whatnot. Otherwise, I didn't notice it. And when you get this thing up to speed, this board truthfully comes to life. This is where it really shines. It lays trenches, it swoops from one side of the run back to the other, and when you look back, you can just see that pencil-thin carve right behind you. So if you like to rip aggressively at high speeds, it's great, but when you need to be a little bit more laid back, it's not going to kill you like last year's version. Who's this board for? The hard-charging all-mountain freerider. So I was a big fan of the 2020-2021 Black Snowboard of Death, and then last year they changed it and the flex got a little bit different. It had a little bit more raw power in it. This kind of combines the 2020-2021 and the 2021-2022. So what you get is a more approachable board with a little more torsional flex that really lets you steer it a little bit easier, but you still retain that raw power of last year's board, so you can just rip a hard carve. And I mean rip, because this board just feels so good at speeds on edge. It just cuts through everything, and with it being more approachable than last year's version, I really love this one. It's almost like every other year, it's like, I love it, I hate it, I love it, I hate it. And right now, I love it. This board is great. Comparable boards: the K2 Alchemist, the Jones Ultra Flagship, the Amplid Soli Grail, Binding recommendations: the Union Atlas Pro, the Rome Cleaver, the Ride A10. This has been my review of the Capita Black Snowboard of Death. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you going to buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.